The quantum interference patterns weren't supposed to look like that. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her monitors in the dimly lit control room of the Global Quantum Signal Detection Facility, buried deep within the Canadian Rockies. The facility's massive quantum array was designed to detect subtle variations in quantum fields, theoretical communications that humanity hadn't even managed to create yet. But these patterns were unlike anything they'd recorded before. "Dr. Wei, you need to see this," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The facility's lead physicist appeared behind her, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. The patterns pulsed with an impossible regularity. Natural quantum fluctuations were chaotic, random. These weren't. They carried information. Deliberate, structured, desperate. "Get me Director Harrison," Dr. Wei whispered, his eyes never leaving the display. Now. Within hours, the facility's conference room was packed with the world's leading quantum physicists, attending both in person and via holographic projections. The signal source had been triangulated to Saturn's rings, where something massive was hiding among the ice and rock. "It's artificial," Dr. Chen explained to the assembled experts. "The quantum patterns carry embedded mathematical constants. Pi phi, the fine structure constant. Universal concepts. Whoever sent this knew exactly how to get our attention." Director Harrison, a former NASA administrator with steel-gray hair and tired eyes, leaned forward. "And you're certain it's a distress signal?" "The pattern's degrading," Dr. Wei answered. "Whatever's generating it is failing. Based on the decay rate, we have maybe 72 hours before it goes silent." The room erupted in urgent discussions. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization was dying in Saturn's rings, and they had barely 3 days to do something about it. "The Hyperion isn't ready," someone protested. "The quantum drive's never been tested beyond lunar orbit. It's the only ship we have that could reach Saturn in time," Harrison countered. "The prototype quantum drive is our only shot." Dr. Chen raised her hand, silencing the room. "There's something else. The signal. It's not just mathematics anymore. I think I found language." She projected a new set of patterns. "These sequences are too complex for simple mathematical concepts. They're repeating, evolving, responding to our quantum scanning. I think they're trying to teach us how to communicate." For the next 18 hours, Dr. Chen barely left her station. As the alien signal weakened, it seemed to grow more desperate in its attempts to establish communication. The patterns became more structured, more deliberate, like a teacher slowly guiding a student. "It's beautiful," she muttered, after finally cracking the first semantic patterns. "They've created a quantum language that transcends traditional barriers. No need for understanding alien vocal cords or writing systems. Pure concepts transmitted through the fundamental fabric of space-time." The first translated message was simple. "Help. Last arc. Million species die if we fail." The implications hit the global scientific community like a thunderbolt. This wasn't just a damaged alien ship. It was a repository of life, perhaps the last remnants of countless worlds, trapped and dying in Saturn's embrace. Director Harrison made the call. "Prepare the Hyperion for launch. Dr. Chen, you're going with them. You're the only one who can maintain communication." The Hyperion was humanity's most advanced spacecraft, a sleek vessel powered by an experimental quantum drive that theoretically allowed faster-than-light travel by manipulating the quantum fabric of space itself. It had never been tested at the distances they now required, but there was no other choice. As Dr. Chen boarded the ship with its crew of 5, she carried humanity's hopes and fears with her. The quantum signal grew weaker with each passing hour, but its message remained clear. They were running out of time. Captain Maya Rodriguez, the Hyperion's commander, gathered her crew for the pre-launch briefing. "This mission pushes beyond everything we've trained for," she acknowledged. "But out there, something incredible is waiting. The last survivors of who knows how many worlds, reaching out across the cosmos, choosing Earth to ask for help. We're not going to let them down. As the Hyperion's quantum drive spun up for its first real test, Dr. Chen kept her eyes fixed on the signal readings. Somewhere out there, ancient species were counting on humanity's response. The ship that had never flown beyond the moon was about to attempt the impossible, carrying the best and perhaps most reckless elements of human ingenuity with it. The launch countdown began, and with it, humanity's first step into a much larger, more complex universe than anyone had imagined. They had 70 hours to prove that humanity's determination and innovative spirit could overcome the vast distances of space itself. The Hyperion's quantum drive hummed at frequencies that made human teeth ache. They were pushing far beyond its design specifications, hurtling through space at velocities that should have been impossible. Drive stability at 68%, reported Dr. James Kumar, the ship's engineer. His dark fingers danced across holographic controls, making constant adjustments. The containment field is holding, but these stress patterns weren't in any of our simulations. Captain Rodriguez nodded, her eyes fixed on the main viewport where Saturn's rings were finally becoming visible. How long until failure? At this rate, Kumar shrugged. Maybe 20 hours. The quantum matrices weren't meant to sustain these speeds. We only need 12. Dr. Chen interrupted, not looking up from her quantum communication array. The ARC signal is getting weaker, but I'm learning more. They call themselves the Preservers. Their ship contains genetic samples from over 2 million species from 1,000 different worlds. The crew fell silent, processing the magnitude of what was at stake. 2 million species, countless worlds of evolutionary history, all depending on whether a handful of humans could push an experimental drive past its breaking point. New signal, Chen announced suddenly. They're sending us visual data through the quantum stream. The ship's main holographic display flickered to life, showing their first clear view of the arc. It was massive, easily 5 kilometers long. Its hull a latticework of crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with inner light. But that light was failing, sections of the magnificent vessel going dark one by one. Those crystals, Kumar breathed, studying the readings. They're some kind of quantum computer matrix. The whole ship is one giant information processing system. But Saturn's magnetic field is disrupting their quantum coherence. Lieutenant Sarah O'Neill, their pilot, leaned forward in her chair. That's why they can't escape. Their entire technology is based on quantum effects. They're too advanced for their own good. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one, Rodriguez mused. Kumar, what if we used our electromagnetic shields as a buffer? Create a stable zone around their ship. Our shields weren't designed for something that size. Kumar protested, but his fingers were already running calculations. Although, if we modified the field geometry, used the drive's quantum field to amplify the effect. Do it, Rodriguez ordered. Chen, tell them to be ready. We're going to give them a bubble of calm space to work with. The next few hours were a desperate race against time. The Hyperion systems were already strained from the journey, but now they were attempting something even more demanding. They needed to extend their protective fields around a vessel many times their size, while fighting against Saturn's massive magnetic influence. Shield modifications complete, Kumar reported. But this will drain our power reserves quickly. We'll have maybe one shot at this. Rodriguez opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, prepare for rescue operations. This is what humanity does best, finding solutions that work, no matter how impossible the odds seem. The Hyperion approached the massive arc, its modified shields extending like an invisible hand reaching out to steady a falling giant. As they drew closer, more details of the alien vessel became clear. Its crystalline surface was a marvel of engineering, each facet serving multiple purposes: power collection, data storage, life support. They're responding, Chen called out. Their systems are. They're adapting to our shield frequency. They're learning from us even now. Kumar's console erupted in warnings. Power drain is critical. Whatever they're doing is amplifying our field effect. But our generators can't handle this for long. They need 3 minutes, Chen translated from the quantum signals. Their core systems are rebooting under our shield's protection. Rodriguez gripped her command chair. They'll get those 3 minutes if I have to power this ship with static electricity and willpower. O'Neill, keep us steady. Kumar, give them everything we've got. The Hyperion's engines screamed in protest as they held position. Warning lights flashed across every console as systems redlined. But slowly, surely, the dying lights across the Ark's surface began to rekindle. Energy patterns stabilizing, Kumar reported, his voice filled with disbelief. They're using our shield pattern as a template, creating their own version, but orders of magnitude more sophisticated. The Ark's crystalline surface blazed with renewed energy, patterns of light dancing across its vast hull. New quantum signals flooded Chen's receivers, not just data now, but images, emotions, gratitude beyond words. They want to dock, Chen announced. They say they've never encountered a species that could adapt their technology so quickly, so creatively. They want to meet their rescuers face to face. Rodriguez smiled. Well, we didn't come all this way just to wave hello. Kumar, begin docking procedures. Let's introduce ourselves properly to our new friends. As the two ships began their delicate docking dance, no one aboard the Hyperion fully grasped how this moment would change human history. They had just demonstrated something remarkable, that sometimes the most primitive solution, applied cleverly, could overcome the most advanced problems. It was a lesson the galaxy would not soon forget. The docking tunnel between Hyperion and the Ark crystallized into existence, quite literally. The preservers had somehow transformed the space between the ships into a translucent corridor that seemed to be grown rather than constructed. Their entire technology is based on controlled crystal growth, Kumar observed, scanning the structure. They're manipulating matter at the quantum level to create whatever they need. The first meeting between humans and preservers took place in this crystalline space between vessels. The aliens emerged from their ship like living sculptures of light and crystal. They stood nearly 3 meters tall, their bodies semi-transparent and filled with shifting patterns of bioluminescence. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward, Dr. Chen at her side. The leading preserver's light patterns shifted to match the quantum frequency Chen had been using to communicate. We are the last archive. The aliens' thoughts resonated directly in their minds through quantum entanglement. I am First Guardian Velar. You have saved more than just our lives. Velar gestured, and the crystal walls around them transformed into a vast stellar map. We came from the Sagittarius Arm, fleeing the death of 1,000 worlds. Our civilization spanned 3 spiral arms, peaceful, prosperous. We thought ourselves masters of quantum science, able to reshape reality itself. The map showed glittering worlds going dark, one after another. Then came the entropy wave, a cascade failure in the quantum field itself, spreading from system to system. Our mastery over quantum science became our downfall. The more advanced the civilization, the faster it fell. That's why Saturn's magnetic field affected you so severely, Kumar realized. Your quantum technology is vulnerable to field disruptions. Velar's patterns shifted, and what they would learn was agreement. We were the last. We gathered what we could: genetic samples, cultural records, the essence of millions of species. But we knew we could not save ourselves. Our very nature had become too entwined with quantum manipulation. Dr. Chen stepped forward. But you found us. Why did you choose Earth? The preserver's lights danced with something like amusement. We did not choose. We were failing, dying. Your world was simply where we could no longer continue. But now we understand. Perhaps the universe chose for us. Velar led them deeper into the Ark. The crystal corridors opened into vast chambers, filled with what looked like frozen starlight. Stasis fields preserving countless samples of life from across the galaxy. Here, Velar indicated, are the last seeds of worlds you will never see, plants that turned light into thoughts. animals that built cities in the air, beings that sang mathematics into physical form, all lost, except in these samples. Rodriguez studied the stasis chambers with growing awe. You want us to help preserve them. More. Weyler's patterns intensified. We want you to help them live again. Your species. You are unique. You understand quantum science, yet you are not dependent on it. You create backup systems, redundancies. You expect technology to fail and plan for it. This is wisdom we never learned. Kumar was examining the ARC systems with professional interest. Your quantum matrix is incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly vulnerable. One strong solar flare could wipe out millennia of data. We could help you design protective systems, hybrid technologies that combine your quantum precision with our more robust methods. Yes, Weyler's patterns brightened. But more importantly, we believe your world could become a nursery for these lost species. Your planet's diversity, its countless environmental niches, with proper preparation, Earth could host carefully selected species from our archive. A new garden of life, tended by those who understand the value of both progress and preservation. The implications slowly sank in. Earth wouldn't just be preserving a backup of lost alien species. It could become a living museum, a restoration project on a galactic scale. Humanity would become the guardians of countless worlds' legacies. There's something else, Dr. Chen said, studying Weyler's light patterns, something you're worried about telling us. The preserver's lights dimmed slightly. Yes, the entropy wave that destroyed our civilization. We believe it was not natural, and we fear it is still spreading. Captain Rodriguez straightened her shoulders, a determined glint in her eye. Then we'll face that too. Humanity's gotten pretty good at beating impossible odds. Weyler's patterns rippled with what might have been hope. Perhaps that is why the universe guided us here. You call yourselves human. We called ourselves masters of quantum science. But you are survivors, adapters, innovators. You may be what the galaxy needs most, a species that understands both the power of progress and the wisdom of caution. As the human crew began making plans for the Ark's return to Earth orbit, none of them fully grasped how this moment would reshape their world's destiny. Earth was about to become more than just another developing world. It would become the guardian of life itself, a bastion of hope for a galaxy that had forgotten the value of keeping one foot on solid ground while reaching for the stars. 3 months after the rescue, Earth's orbit had become a hub of frenetic activity. The Ark hung in synchronous orbit, its crystalline surface now reinforced with human-designed electromagnetic shielding. Shuttles and construction vessels swarmed around it like bees around a hive, adding layers of what Weyler had called wonderfully redundant protection systems. But in a secure conference room deep within Houston's Space Center, the mood was grim. Captain Rodriguez sat with her crew, along with Dr. Chen and representatives from Earth's major space agencies, watching as Weyler's light patterns cast shifting shadows across the walls. We can no longer delay telling you the full truth, Weyler communicated. The entropy wave was a weapon. The room fell silent. Dr. Chen leaned forward. A weapon, created by whom? Weyler's patterns dimmed to deep indigo. We call them the Void Makers. They were once like us, masters of quantum science, but they came to believe that consciousness itself was an affront to universal entropy. They saw life as a mistake to be corrected. The aliens' crystalline form projected images of massive structures, like inverse stars that radiated darkness instead of light. They built quantum resonators that could disrupt the very fields that make complex life possible. The entropy wave was their first successful test. Kumar cursed softly. That's why your quantum technology was so vulnerable. The wave wasn't just disrupting fields. It was specifically targeted at quantum-based civilizations. Yes, Weyler's patterns swirled with what they now recognized as anxiety. Your technology, your reliance on crude physical systems, it makes you remarkably resistant to their weapons. The Void Makers would consider you primitive, beneath notice. This may be your greatest defense. Rodriguez shared a look with her crew. How long? Based on the wave's propagation speed. Perhaps 50 of your years before it reaches Earth's sector. But the Void Makers will likely send more waves, create more weapons. They will not stop until the galaxy is cleansed of what they see as the quantum pollution of consciousness. The room erupted in urgent discussions, but Dr. Chen noticed something in Wheeler's patterns. There's more, isn't there? Something about Earth specifically. The preserver's lights pulsed slowly. Your solar system has unique properties. Your sun's magnetic field, your gas giant's gravitational dance, even the precise composition of your Earth's core. They create a natural quantum dampening effect. With proper preparation, this system could become a fortress against the Void Maker's weapons. Lieutenant O'Neill straightened in her chair. That's why the universe guided you here. Earth isn't just a good place to preserve species. It's one of the few places that could survive what's coming. And your people, Wheeler added, with your remarkable combination of quantum understanding and physical engineering, might be the only civilization capable of developing effective countermeasures. Rodriguez stood, her decision made. Then we'd better get to work. Kumar, I want you working with the preservers on adapting their quantum technology to handle disruption. Chen, we need to understand everything they know about these Void Makers. O'Neill, start calculating defensive positions that maximize our system's natural protections. There is risk in this, Wheeler cautioned. If the Void Makers detect our presence here, they may target Earth directly. Let them come, Rodriguez replied, her voice hard. Humanity's got a pretty good track record of surviving extinction-level threats. It's kind of our specialty. Over the next weeks, a remarkable collaboration took shape. Human engineers worked alongside preservers, creating hybrid technologies that merged quantum precision with robust physical failsafes. The Ark's vast databases were carefully backed up in multiple forms, from crystal quantum storage to good old-fashioned analog recordings. It's fascinating, Kumar remarked to Chen as they watched a team install new shield generators on the Ark. The preservers went so far into quantum technology that they forgot the basics, but we never let go of them. Every advancement we made, we kept the old systems as backup. Evolution's greatest achievements are usually backup systems, Chen replied. Like how we still have our primitive fight-or-flight responses alongside our higher reasoning. The preservers evolved past their backups. We evolved to keep them. As Earth prepared for a war that was still decades away, a new understanding emerged. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their mastery of any particular technology. It was their stubborn insistence on redundancy, on having backup plans for their backup plans. They were a species that had evolved not to perfect any one solution, but to always have another option ready. The Void Makers were about to learn a harsh lesson. Sometimes the best defense against the most advanced weapon isn't an even more advanced shield. It's being too primitive to care about quantum disruption while having just enough understanding to turn it against its users. 50 years passed in the blink of a cosmic eye. Earth had changed beyond recognition, yet remained stubbornly, gloriously itself. The night sky above Houston Space Center gleamed with orbital habitats and research stations, their surfaces a mixture of crystalline quantum technology and sturdy human engineering. Dr. Sarah Chen, now in her 80s but still sharp as ever thanks to preserver medical advances, stood with Captain Rodriguez's granddaughter, Commander Elena Rodriguez, watching the latest sensor readings from the long-range quantum detection array. They're coming, Chen said simply. The Void Makers had finally noticed the anomaly in their wave of extinction, a solar system that refused to go quiet, that blazed with life and purpose. Good, Elena replied, her grandmother's determination burning in her eyes. Let's show them what 50 years of preparation looks like. Earth had not been idle during its decades of warning. The solar system had been transformed into a fortress that embraced both quantum and physical principles. Jupiter's massive magnetic field had been enhanced with quantum resonators, creating a barrier that could reflect entropy attacks. Mars hosted massive backup servers containing copies of the preserver's genetic archives, protected by layers of redundant systems. But Earth itself was humanity's masterpiece. The planet's natural quantum dampening properties had been enhanced, while its surface bloomed with life from 1,000 worlds. Carefully selected species from the Ark now thrived in protected habitats, each one adding to the planet's resilience. Earth had become exactly what the preservers had hoped, a cradle for lost species, and now a bastion against the darkness. The first attack came exactly as Valar had predicted. A quantum resonator, larger than Earth's moon, emerged from folded space at the system's edge. It began to spin up its entropy field, ready to unravel the quantum bonds that held complex life together. "They still think we're just another quantum-based civilization," Elena commented, watching the tactical display. "They have no idea what they're actually facing." Humanity's response began with something so primitive it was nearly forgotten: radio waves. Simple, crude electromagnetic transmissions that carried a payload of carefully engineered quantum algorithms. The Voidmaker's resonator, designed to detect and destroy quantum technology, eagerly absorbed the transmission. The effect was immediate and devastating. The hybrid code, part quantum and part classical programming, attacked the resonator's control systems like a virus attacks a cell. Quantum circuits try to adapt, only to be locked into recursive loops by simple Boolean logic. Sometimes, Chen smiled, remembering Kumar's words from so long ago. The simplest solution is the best one. The resonator's entropy field collapsed in on itself, its quantum perfection undone by mathematics that could be calculated on an abacus. But this was just the beginning. More Voidmaker ships arrived, each more advanced than the last. Each met a humanity that had spent 50 years learning to fight this exact war. Quantum torpedoes were defeated by gravity slings around Jupiter. Entropy fields shattered against shields that switched between quantum and classical states faster than they could adapt. The preservers, watching from their reinforced arc, witnessed something unprecedented. A primitive species, using technology that should have been easy to overcome, was systematically dismantling weapons that could unravel reality itself, not through superior quantum science, but through the clever integration of both advanced and basic principles. The turning point came when Elena implemented what they called the retrograde gambit. As a Voidmaker world ship approached Earth, humanity shut down every piece of quantum technology in the system. To the enemy sensors, it appeared as if they had succeeded. The system had gone dark. They never expected the fleet of primitive fusion-powered ships that emerged from behind Mars, using simple kinetic weapons guided by mechanical computers. By the time they realized their quantum weapons were useless against purely physical technology, it was too late. The war ended not with a grand quantum battle, but with the Voidmakers facing an impossible truth. They had evolved themselves into a corner. In pursuing the perfect weapon, they had forgotten that perfection is often the enemy of survival. In the aftermath, as news spread through the galaxy's surviving civilizations, Earth gained a new reputation, not as the most advanced world, but as something far more important, a place where life found a way, where the wisdom of keeping old tools alongside new ones had created something unique in the cosmos. The Preserver's arc remained in orbit, but it was no longer a refuge of last resort. Instead, it became a teaching center, where species from across the galaxy came to learn the human art of balanced progress. The art of remembering that sometimes the best way forward is to keep one foot firmly planted in the past. As Chen watched a group of young quantum physicists working alongside mechanical engineers in the Space Center's labs, she remembered that first quantum signal from so long ago, a desperate SOS that had led humanity to its greatest challenge and its greatest triumph. "We did it," she whispered to the memory of Valar, who had not lived to see this day. "We became something new. Not masters of quantum science, not prisoners of the primitive, but bridge builders between both." Above her, Earth's night sky sparkled with the lights of 1,000 worlds reborn, while in laboratories and workshops below, humans continued to do what they did best, finding new ways to survive, adapt, and thrive, always ready to face whatever the universe might throw at them next. After all, that was the true legacy of humanity, not the mastery of any one path, but the wisdom to walk them all.